My number one question going into Mandalorian and Grogu was why are they making this film? My number one question coming out of Mandalorian and Grogu was why did they make this film? I was sat there last night in the cinema watching this film and I was waiting for that one moment that made me go, so that's why. That's why this is a film and not season 4. But that moment never came. There's nothing that happens in the story of this film that couldn't have easily have been done in a season 4 of the Disney Plus show. Maybe not the entirety of season 4, but at least a 3 episode arc, no question. I don't require every Star Wars film to be about saving the galaxy. I am all for the smaller scale stories in the Star Wars universe, in the Marvel universe, the DC universes, these big, massive, blockbuster universes. Give me the small personal stories. Sometimes they're the best stories to tell, but said stories still need to feel worthwhile and worth telling, especially if you're going to do it on the big screen. Just give me a reason to be there. Give the story a reason to be on that big screen. There is some decent character growth with Grogu, because there's a scenario where Grogu really has to step up, and without spoiling the circumstances, he has to rescue Mando, rather than Mando rescuing him for once. And that was decent to see. And there were a couple of endearing moments with Grogu. As far as the film's action goes, there are some scenes where Mando is fighting some stormtroopers that's moderately entertaining. There's also a couple of scenes, like a good couple of scenes, where Mando is fighting these big random CGI monsters. And I'm just like, why is this happening right now? There's actually a few moments and scenarios in here where I'm just like, is that really the best moment or scenario that you could have written right then and there? The grittiness of the first 2 seasons, at least, of the show was not really present in this film. The film generally does feel a bit fluffier in comparison to the show. The visual style of the film was not super appealing, lots of muddy, murky colours. This film did not have the sense of adventure of a Star Wars motion picture event, nor did it have that badass feeling of a smaller scale Star Wars story like we got with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian show. The film they delivered to us just feels a bit disposable, fairly safe, inessential, not that memorable, and most of all, not that entertaining, and a bit of a snooze. Again, this was the first theatrically released Star Wars feature film on the big screen in cinemas in over 6 years. And they just needed to come back to the big screen with a much bigger impact than this. How many bad or negative reviews for this film are going to say, this is not the way? It's very easy, very cheap, I know, but this was not the way to bring Star Wars back to the big screen.